Here, and I'm just going to finish off the last part of the question. So this is the manufacturing cost and the trading budget trading account. So we have the first part of question 2 done, and we have our total sales budget, and we've worked out our production budget. We've added the two of these together, so we have the total amount. I'm just going to type in here units that we're going to make, and then from that we've produced our raw materials purchase budget, and we have a key number here. That's the total raw materials cost. That's when I spend all my raw materials. So when I go and do my manufacturing cost budget, my raw material cost, that number is going to appear, okay, in here. I'll do my labor cost budget. So I've got my labor cost budget here, and the final number here, okay, this 733880. So that's the labor cost, so that goes in there. Now I need to deal with my fixed and variable overheads. So the fixed overheads is 160, no maths needed. Okay, so given to you from the question. And variable is €4 per skilled labor hours. So there's the labor hours for plain, there's the labor hours for ornate, add the two of them together, there's my skilled labor hours. Okay, so the variable overheads will be that number, there's the labor hours, multiplied by, in this case, is €4. And now the two of them, add all these four numbers together, and that gives us the total manufacturing cost. So now, I go down to work out my budgeted trading account. So this would be normally sales, opening stock, purchases, and closing stock to give you a gross profit. But in this case, we're not buying goods to sell, we're manufacturing them. So whatever our manufacturing cost, that goes in there to replace our purchases. So there's our manufacturing cost, so that goes in there. Sales. How much money do I expect? Remember, this is a plan for the future. How much money do I think I will take in sales? And I've already calculated that because I've done a sales budget. So the first document that I produced was a sales budget, so I think I'm going to take in that amount of money. So that's that. Now the opening stock of finished goods, and that's, we'll go back to the question. We have 500 units, 110, and 400 units, 130. So multiply or I'll add those two together. So I have 500 multiplied by 110 plus 400 multiplied by 130. So that's my opening stock. As normal, I add my opening stock and what would normally be purchases, but now it's manufacturing, and that gives me my goods available. That's the goods available that we could have sold. I need to take away the closing stock of finished goods, and that will help me get my gross profit. Okay, so I need to look at how do I calculate my closing stock to put this in. So first of all, we need to think about how many do we have as closing stock. So I go back up here to my production budget, and I worked out that there's my opening and my closing stock. So my closing stock is 10% higher than my opening stock. So I got 550 and 440. Okay, so I need to work out how much money has been spent on these four different areas on these goods that I have left over as closing stock. Okay, so plain we said was 550. So how much would we have put into the plain goods, okay, for in the two materials, okay, how much would we spend on those? So we're going to have 550, because that's the amount of closing stock, multiplied by, we have 5 kilo of material 1 and 6 kilo of material 2. Okay, so we'll deal with material 1 first. So 550 times 5, multiplied by how much does material 1 cost? And down here it says times 2. Material 1 costs €2 per kilo. So that's the cost of material 1 that goes into plain. Okay, and now I'll add in the cost of material 2 that goes into plain. And again, we're still dealing with the same 550 of goods, multiplied by material 2, we have 6 kilo, and each kilo costs €4 each. So times 4. Okay, so it's the closing stock units multiplied by the kilos per unit multiplied by the cost of every kilo. Okay, work those out, and that gives you that figure. So we're going to do something similar for ornate. So ornate was 440 closing stock, so let's put that in brackets. 440 multiplied by 4 kilos of material 1, and the price of material 1 is €2. Plus 440 again for the second material times 3 kilo for material 2, and then times €4 for that 3 kilos. So I'll add the two of these together, and that gives me my total. Labour. So labour, again, I have 550 and 450, so 550 multiplied by how many labour hours? We've got 5 labour hours, and then multiplied by the price for every labour hour is €12. Okay, so that's how much the labour is going to cost to produce plain, or what I would have spent on labour to make those plain goods that I haven't sold yet. The other ones then are 440 times, it says 6 hours, times, how much is it? €12 again. Okay. Okay, so I add those two together, and that gives me my labour cost. Variable overheads. So, variable overheads is 4 per skilled labour hour. So I have 550 times how many labour hours? 5 labour hours, and then we're going to charge €4 for variable overheads. And I'll have 440 times 5 labour hours times €4, which is the variable overhead rate. Add those two together. Fixed overheads. Now, I need to give a share of the 160 grand fixed overhead. So these is where I do it is, I work out, well, how much will I have to spend on all of my goods that I'm going to make? So I work out my overall production, divide that into 160, and that gives me how much I'm going to spend to produce one good. And then I'll multiply that by the closing stocks. So I'll do this all as one sum. So I'm going to start by putting in, so I'll put this in brackets, so 160 divided by my overall production. And we had worked that out already way up here somewhere. These are the total number of goods that I'm going to actually produce. Okay? So, and then I'll multiply that then by my 2 closing stocks added together, which is 550 and 440. So that is 990. Okay, so that's my fixed overheads. There's the total then. So that's my total manufacturing cost. So that's the number then that I'm going to put in here, sorry, for my closing stock. So to work out my gross profit, I'll have my goods available, take away my closing stock, that gives the cost of goods sold, subtract the cost of goods sold from my sales, and I get a profit of 149,742. Now you may be ever so slightly out because you may have rounded certain things differently to me, but that's the basics of how you should do it. I hope that makes sense.